this 21st day of June in downtown Alton. It's our daily show. Stephanie Schrage John Becker. How are we doing? Challenge Unlimited. Life's good in the 618 today, huh?
Absolutely.
Very good,
No
sir.
complaints.
Now, let's paint the picture. Picture this like the Golden Girls for a second. Stephanie was supposed to be on last week, but, I have the same issues with my migraines. And it's so nice to know that I'm not doing this alone, because this weather, it's like 40 degrees, and then it jumps to 110 and it's back down to 30. Not a good thing.
No, not at all. Not at all. It knocked me out.
But you know what? I kind of think it worked out for the best, because now we got John Becker in studio back with Challenge Unlimited, too.
Absolutely. Returning after a hiatus with several other social service organizations in the area. So we're glad to have him.
Well, and take me through this, John. What's it feel like being back with Challenge Unlimited?
Well, it's a little bit different from when I started 38 years ago. So the growth is pretty phenomenal. Mm-hmm. When I started, my job was a training supervisor. I took anywhere from 7 to 12 adults with disabilities out. We cleaned buildings. I had 13 accounts. And I was preparing for this and another presentation, and we have over 415 buildings now in 6 states.
That's incredible. And now, when you first started, did you see how the potential of the organization right off the bat, or was it something that still surprised you to see? Because 415 is a huge number.
Well, as a janitorial supervisor, CJ, I was just worried about keeping those buildings clean.
Good answer.
And training folks so they could get a job. But I think a lot of the vision goes to the former CEO, Tom Mean, but Charlotte Hammond, the current CEO, is pretty phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I obviously in my own career I've done a lot of the same things, but I appreciate the fact that you have Charlotte with this vision and a team, that is really out there and they're grinding.
Right.
They've hired Stephanie in a marketing role that's going to take our marketing to where it needs to be. The fact that, Challenges has over 1,000 employees.
That's incredible. And see, what we were kind of hinting at on the commercial break is, right here in Alton, and I didn't even know some of these statistics or all this stuff. And it's important to know and highlight this, to know that we have this, growing organization that's going to keep growing exponentially, it seems like.
What's really interesting, when I started, in like 86, unemployment was 7 or 8%. But unemployment for individuals with disabilities was probably like 20 to 25.
I bet.
Even today, as unemployment is 3 to 3.5, depending on where you're at, unemployment for individuals with disabilities is still 7.6%.
Wow.
And it always is either double or triple.
Wow. That's pretty astonishing. I didn't even think about that. And, with the services that you guys provide, to be able to, help jumpstart a career path for somebody that, really needs that, guiding hand and really needs that foundation. You can't ask for anything better. And, Stephanie, with that, coming on the marketing team, just kind of piggybacking back and forth here, what are some of your goals with, community awareness and just getting the message out? Because I always tell people, this show's great. I had no idea over 90% of the things I've talked about on this show in a year. 90%. And this, I knew about Challenge Unlimited, but I didn't know all the nuts and bolts and the details on just how impressive the organization is. What are your kind of thoughts on how you guys are going to market that and let everyone else know?
Well, like John said, it's kind of an untapped labor market that I think really locally in particular, and even, as far as across the country, we can definitely expand those opportunities for people. But the only way we can do it is if we increase our partnerships and, drive the awareness of what we're doing. So that's kind of my goal, is to do more shows like this with you, things on WBGZ, more press releases, just share the information and the things that are available. We have apprenticeship programs that kind of have been a best kept secret, and people don't realize it's an available option. Especially with the cost of tuition and college and those kind of things, education not being available to everyone, or maybe it's not the best fit.
Right. Now, that's a great point, too, in itself. And with that, how have you been able to see, and John, I'm sure you've been through this, too, different, folks, I'm sure, have different ways of, reaching that, step of being in the workforce and having those, goals. There's different personalities. Does it help you after, coming back after, you started to know these kind of things and how individuals react to certain situations?
Well, what's really interesting, when I started, we had generally, we had two programs, really. We had 2 sheltered workshops where folks made some minimum wage based on their ability. And then we had employment services, which is our community placement program. In 38 years, they have a bundled approach. And I like, this is really when you're talking about the vision of helping folks find jobs. We have 6 states we do federal and private contracts. We have a staffing division. And every initiative that they've really put into place is we're trying and supporting people getting jobs.
Right.
But out of 1,000 employees, 556 or 590 are people with disabilities who work at all those sites. So we get the contract and will employ people to be successful.
Wow. Now, I didn't realize that was how the course of action, and that to me is, I mean, invaluable. I mean, it really is invaluable. And, you know, with that being said, as you're, looking through things, working with Challenge Unlimited, what's it like to work for an organization like this that has a great mission that's achieving these goals? I mean, and it seems like taking care of the employees and the ones that are continuing every day with this mission. Is it a pretty good organization for employees too?
I couldn't work in traditional marketing, I can tell you that.
Here.
I have no interest in an organization that doesn't have a mission-driven message.
Exactly.
And that's something that I can say I really see in Challenge Unlimited. You know, like John was saying, we provide wraparound services, so it's not just a one-off, here's what we can help you with and we pass you on. We can, expand whatever services you may need, or, again, with those partnerships, we have referral systems and they're
Right.
fantastic. So I'm really proud of the organization and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and with that being said, partnering with other organizations and help driving that mission home, I mean, it helps grow not only Challenge Unlimited, but other organizations too on top of that, because you get to help grow together and you get to help do new things and reach new, heights with what your mission is. Now, I wanted to ask you about this personal development, which I think is really unique. I'm on Challenge Unlimited, or CUINC.org, correct? Mm-hmm. Normally, I pick the wrong website when I do this live. So you should have seen my interview last week. I was on a whole different website, and this guy had no idea what I was talking about. I went, did I call you yesterday?
And I haven't even search engine optimized yet.
Oh, well, to me, this skills training is what a lot of times makes someone become really successful. And when you're working with an individual or trying to find people for that, what do you look for in the qualifications and the characteristics to help make sure that's the case?
Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind. Our skills training are all majority are former production employees. Mm-hmm. So the biggest change for me is not just the growth that our CEO, Charlotte Hammond, has driven. Mm-hmm. It's trends nationally. Obviously, the employment market is so incredibly different. Like we were talking about earlier, there's 10 million more jobs than people.
Right.
There's less people under 65, and by 2030, there'll be less people under the age of 12 than over 65. So you combine this stuff, these two phenomena, the employment market is going to be the way it is for many, many years. What's interesting to me, while all this is going on, our production, 14C, has went away. So people who did some minimum wage, who were not able to work in the community, now are doing skills training, focusing on community employment. And part of the reason they might not have worked previously in the community is because employers may or may not have been willing to job carve. Mm-hmm. They may or may not have been willing to say, like a lot of employers have a lot of openings, is take certain parts of those jobs and say somebody that may be able to do one or two things, I'm going to hire them because I'm desperate.
Right.
That has changed everything. So, our agency with 1,000 people, we, like everybody, have openings. But the employment market is creating huge opportunity. So we served over 130 people last night in our employment services, community employment. Our placement rate was 70%.
Wow.
I thought that was really good because a lot of the folks need additional help.
Yep.
And they are motivated. That's the thing I think about a lot of our folks. They come to us funded through the state. We don't get paid lump sum. We're milestone. Mm-hmm. So we don't get paid. We put a lot of work into people. We don't get paid until they're 15, 45, and 90 days.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
I really did not know that.
Right. So in essence, we put a lot of work, a lot of case management into getting a person ready. You're dealing with folks as they're moving through the process. And if they get a job up until 89 days and lose it, we replace them because the bulk of our fees come at 90 days.
Gotcha.
So you really have a totally different model of what I'm used to. But I think it's a good model in a way for us to really make sure that we're supporting people. They got everything in place.
Yep.
And when they get to that point, they're going to be successful. That's our regular placement, supported employment. I mean, that's an 18-month program.
Right.
So with an employer, I mean, as an employer at previous agencies, I made a real point of going to challenges because I know in supported employment, you're going to get a job coach. Mm-hmm. We get paid in 8-week increments over 18 months. So we want to make sure that person's successful.
Right.
So we'll have a job coach come out on the job, work alongside them. It's just not about their skills. It's about appropriate interactions and how you get along with your employees. Mm-hmm. And not everybody needs that.
Right.
You know,
No, that's true.
A lot of times folks go out, they just need a little help in terms of learning the job, and then they're in our follow-up session. But if you're not getting paid for an 18-month period, our agency is very much vested, not just because of our mission, but, no money, no mission. So that funding has got to be there.
Without a doubt. And that's something, too, you hit on that I think is very important. And I wanted your guys' thoughts on this because, in today's day and age, you think, well, maybe young people just don't want to work but to me, it's all about if you want to do something. And when you have individuals like at Challenges that want to do this job, that want the work, but need that extra little, whether it's a little bit of a push or maybe it's just a whole new, trajectory. I mean, that to me is crucial. And it's crucial for any industry to keep sustaining or even grow. I don't know. I just kind of...
No, absolutely. I'm going to piggyback on what John said and just say that, the labor market is in desperate need of these individuals, to be honest. And from what we have gotten as far as feedback is concerned from the employers and supervisors, these are some of the best employees they've had.
Right.
So, the retention rates are high. They, if they have to adapt a little bit, it's worth it because they're going to show up, they're going to work, and they're going to do their jobs.
And to me, people, and any business owners going, I'll take that over anything because it seems like it's hard to get motivated. And when you have someone motivated, keep them motivated.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, there's tons of employers. We actually ran in one in Fairview Heights. They're usually open 24 hours. Mm-hmm. They're only open from 9 to 5. They cannot staff those shifts.
Wow.
So, when you have an employer, like all of us going to our favorite restaurant, service is slow. Mm-hmm. It's not open as long. It's not open on the weekend. We offer that hidden workforce that can enable them reach their own goals.
Right.
So, I mean, we have business development folks that go out and talk about contracting. We have AOS staffing that we're able to use and work with for trial work periods. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of students that are coming out of school districts, out of traditionally what they call them special ed, but there's so many different terminologies that, I don't want to date myself. But I mean, there are a huge pool of folks that we serve in so many different ways that can help employers solve their unemployment issues with retaining, recruiting people. I mean, we're definitely pulled in a lot of different direction. We serve Madison, St. Clair County, and St. Louis metro region as well. We have an office in St. Louis. And
now, take me through the day-to-day on that, just from what you guys are doing and who you're communicating with. I mean, there's a lot of, business to be done throughout the 9 to 5 and however long the day takes to achieve the mission. Is there a pretty good communicative track between the three divisions to where it's easy
Definitely.
to work? That's fantastic.
Well, the way I look at it, business development or operations that does contracting, staffing. We have Project CU, which is a workshop that does production work in St. Louis. We have a lot of folks out knocking on doors. And what we do is we're meeting on a regular basis to talk about, I ran into somebody that might be interested in a work crew or might be interested in bringing production work to our facility in St. Louis or needs employees. So it's your original question, how have things changed? Back in the day, it was people work in a shelter workshop or people go out and get a job. Now there's like all these ways that we can help folks, employers, and help people with disabilities. We're employing a lot of people ourselves.
Right.
I mean, we provide those supports to them as an employee of Challenges, and that's only going to continue to grow as well.
Without a doubt. And if you don't mind me asking, I know that this is more of an affiliate company, but I wanted to ask about the housing by residential options, if that's okay, because
Absolutely.
I think this is
I
really...
think that includes, that's kind of those wraparound services
Okay,
I was
cool.
mentioning. We have people who need these residential options homes, but maybe they're really pretty high functioning and they need employment options as well.
Yeah.
So we can, provide both of those things. Also, obviously we have people all across the spectrum of all abilities. So, I mean, people who are needing that residential care situation, it's a nice alternative to put them in a community. They get out with their peers. They, have experiences of what I say, everybody that's got that diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, this is the market for it. I mean, we are the provider for those kind of things. So Residential Options is a great program. We've got 23 Scylla homes across St. Clair and Madison County.
Wow.
Over 100 residents. And a lot of those residents are also employment services clients or, workers on other contracts. So it's a great program.
Well, it's just huge. And like we were talking about earlier, I just think it's so fascinating because I'm learning a ton today. That's why I've just kind of shut up and let the senators speak. The floor is yours. It's so fascinating because this is in our own backyard. And I guarantee you there's 90% of us going, I didn't realize how important this organization is. And now, what are the goals for Challenges this year? Is there anything that you guys are looking to do that, maybe not break any news, but just something that you guys have in the back of your mind?
Well, I think personally, we have experienced a lot of growth.
Yep.
Like all agencies, bringing Stephanie on board in a professional marketing position. We're readdressing some of our infrastructure. But the problem is, quite honestly, there are so many growth opportunities. I mean, when we sit down every day, there are people knocking on our door asking us to help them with solutions.
Wow.
So, getting staffing or getting people in place for that, it's a planning process. Personally, I think sometimes looking at our traditional programs, like people that are now in skills training, it used to be in production, a lot of those folks want to work. We're planning for how we're going to help support them into community employment, and that's a huge process. I think everything that Challenges is doing, in my mind, from having been at other agencies, they're exactly on track to not just address infrastructure, but continue to bring in president company, myself excluded, high caliber people to bring that company to a higher level. Yeah.
So modest.
I'm starting next Thursday.
Well, I mean, you have to realize we're a $40 million agency headquartered in Alton. Our payroll is over $20 million.
Wow.
I mean, that's when you look at economic impact, it's huge.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing because I'm so tired of seeing these projected economic impacts I'm really tired of seeing them. It's like, listen, I can project a lot of things, but when numbers are there, they don't lie. And when you have something where you're almost at half of what your total is for a year in payroll,
Yep.
I mean, that's huge. And that's families, putting the roots down, or individuals supporting local businesses with that, payroll funds too. So it all goes back into the
Absolutely.
local economy. You can't ask for anything more.
Yeah. Well, and not just that. I mean, we have a fleet of vehicles.
Oh, sure.
We transport people. We own buildings. We rent buildings. We own 23 Scylla homes.
Yeah.
So the biggest change for me, I mean, when I started in '86, that was the beginning of the end of the switch from manufacturing to service. But if you look at top 10 employers, it's medical, like hospitals, education, social service.
I'll be damned. I did not know that.
Yeah. You look at top 20 non-for-profits, it falls in line with hospitals or non-for-profit, but social service agencies are top employers. And we, like, if you just go back to our mission, everybody wants the best for their kids. I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
So you want them to have a job, you want them to have a safe place to live. And we get a lot of parents that come in, like myself getting older, you want to make sure that your child is going to be taken care of. And going back to what you said or asked about challenges, they have a great mission, but they really put the resources out there to make sure that folks are going to get the supports they need. And that's really, for me, it's really gratifying to see from in a 38-year span, they've even like advanced that to a whole different level.
Well, and like you said, it's one thing to have a great mission, because everyone's got a great mission that they want to achieve in life, and that's no taken away from anybody, but it's the implementation of it too, and how you get there and how you evolve and deal with technological advances and trying to figure out how the damn Zoom's going to work for this or what. But I mean, and joking about, but it's, you guys have to work every day, because you never know whenever something's going to change in 30 seconds. You got to adapt.
Well, in the marketing world, very much. That is a big part of it.
I'm telling you what.
It's been a process since I started about 10 months ago of website upgrades, communication channels, just expansion of awareness. We bring up the economic development side of things, and I think advocacy is a big part of what I want to increase over the next year. Social service agencies need support from legislators and the community. So I think that's another fact that we would definitely want to increase awareness.
I would start on that point, but I got to take a break, because if I started talking about it, I think I'd be here and off the air by noon. So with that being said, what's the best way for people to stay up to date on all the great things Challenge Unlimited is doing? And if there's some big news, you're coming back and telling me about it.
Absolutely. I will. www.cuinc.org is our website. We do try to keep everything pretty up to date there. I try to blog pretty frequently, so you'll see some success stories and information about what we've got going on. We also have a Facebook page. We're on social media. Like everybody these days, it's a necessary thing.
Now, did you do TikTok?
We are not doing TikTok, and I will leave that alone because my IT team has instructed me not to discuss it. But we are on Facebook, and we are on LinkedIn, Challenge Unlimited and Ability One provider.
I want to give marketing a plug, because we get a lot of folks who go through our general email address, and every email gets sent to us, people asking about services. So a lot of times, I know folks will go to an agency, plug in some information, not hear back, but we get back to folks when they ask about employment, residential, or other services. And basically, employers can also plug into that as well, because there's different areas that people are interested in.
Well, and too, before I let you guys go, that's huge, because I'm sure there's folks that are wanting to work and they're going, I haven't heard back. And then the stress of that, not hearing anything and wanting to do something, but to be able to at least hear from you guys right away, or at least get that information going, you can't ask for much more.
That's one thing I've definitely implemented, our contact form on our website. I bet I get 3 to 4 emails a day, and those get forwarded directly to the departments that need them. And they hear back normally I try to keep it to 48 hours if we can, for sure.
Go.
So, yeah.
It's a win.
We are responsive.
Well, John, Stephanie, thank you guys so much. I could talk to you guys all day long, because this is just a fantastic organization. For more information, cuinc.org, or just hang out with me the next time we talk to challenges and all the great things they got coming down the pipeline. Thanks, guys.
We'll be back.
Thank you.
10:35, we'll talk with Edwardsville Unity Fest coming up in just a few short months, but a fundraiser concert for you guys to help out for this free event. Coming your way after I hit the commercial break button.